Here you see an ideal example of the synthesis of nature, architecture, and sculpture, the Acropolis of Athens. Look how it is sculpted, how it is turned into some fantastical, yet natural construction through the placement of architectural objects and their scale, and through playing with that scale. One can say this is architecture, while at the same time, all of this is sculpture. The human and the divine sculpture coming together. It is like a heavenly symphony. This is a colossal sculptural masterpiece. Let's see what is interesting about sculpture here, not just as lifeless decor, but as an integral part of this construction. We are looking at a fragment of the Parthenon, a corner. Here is the full entablature, architrave, frieze, and cornice. The sculpture here is not the passive decorative element. It is the building blocks incorporated in the construction. The surface of the wall is developed. It comes inside and shows itself constructively as these wonderful metopes. And the figures here are almost rounded, what we call an alto relief. Hence, they are also three-dimensional. So the mass is being distributed in its volume in such a way that these figures don't fade into the wall. They stand out on the surface. You see the huge rise of the cornice? Under the bright Athens sun, it falls from time to time into a very deep shade, and those figures would all vanish if they were made to be flat. This is the point. Everything here is composed for balance. This works with the depths we see behind the columns, which exist in the space between the columns and the wall. Additionally, they conform with those flutes, which are the core of these columns, just as the sculpture would. Altogether, this is a remarkable sculptural and architectural complex. Everything is in unity. And then, everything is different as we go inside. The light comes from the floor as a reflection. The Pan-Athenaic procession under the ceiling is a fantastically beautiful frieze. It is much flatter than the metopes, and you can understand why. As this light shifts during the day, and in the evening the torchlights would bring these figures to life. The play of light with the surfaces causes apparent motion, and the images come together in one ornamental movement. If we light it from below, it becomes a flickering light. The torchlights are moving. Everything is alive and moving. A fantastic view. And there, where the horses are running, there is a powerful horizontal movement along the whole perimeter, mixing with the rhythm of the vertical figures that underline the contrast of the movement. And then we see how precise this wall and its depth are. This is not a simple animation. This is much more powerful. This one temple has an amazing richness of justified sculptural solutions. And speaking of the Parthenon, I'd like to mention one other thing. Here is absolute perfection, a masterpiece. The best piece by Phidias, I truly believe. There is no other more powerful, more spatial sculptural work that I know of. Look, bearing in mind that this is a realistic image of a person, what a scaling of all dimensions, how they are positioned in space. This body in itself is a fantastic temple. It is a combination of architecture with the construction of a human anatomy, a human body posed in an unrealistically abstract position. So, this is not the kind of sculpture that we call realistic, nothing in common. It is a spatial, architectural, three-dimensional sculpture. It is a masterpiece. And in addition to all of this, if you look at it schematically, you'll see it is a copy of the Acropolis. Let me explain the reason behind all this. A lot has been encoded here. The statue is placed at the front to be viewed from below. This rise of the torso, this strong, powerful head, no one has created a more powerful one. Such an unbelievable structure. How pronounced the eye sockets are. How the nose works, even though it's been lost. How the figure is being visually extended further, further, further. This is an absolute masterpiece. I'm a huge fan of this work.